I'm a Christian, a conservative, and a Republican, in that order. But first, let me share with you, first and foremost, a little bit about who I am. I'm a small-town boy from southern Indiana. I grew up in a family. My grandfather immigrated to this country. My mom and dad built everything that matters. A family, a small business, and a good name. I was raised in a family where it was church on Sunday morning, it was grace before dinner, but maybe like some of you, in the course of my life as I grew up, I chose a different path. I didn't see much relevance for the faith that I'd been raised in, and I struck out on my own steam. But then somewhere along the way, I began to meet people when I was about your age, when I was in college. They seemed to have something. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I would later understand that it was what I would just characterize as joy. There were people that I met who in good times or in bad times, they had some strength that I knew in my heart I was missing. I started attending a small Christian fellowship group on the campus. Anyway, I went to this, and then I decided somewhere along the way in my freshman year, I decided, you know what, even though I'd walked away from faith in my life, I said, you know, I was going to go ahead and be Christian. And this friend of mine, who actually now is a pastor in Indianapolis of a church in our capital city, and still a close friend to this day, who'd been talking to me about matters of faith. I remember stopping him one time. We'd had a few conversations about what the Bible had to say, and I told him, I said, he wore this nice cross I was very impressed with, and I told him I wanted to get that catalog that he got the cross in. This was before the day that you could order everything on your cell phone, right? In fact, it was before cell phones, to be quite honest with you. And I looked at him, and I'll never forget, we were in our fraternity in the cafeteria, and I said, hey, be sure and get me that catalog, because I want to get that cross. I'm going to start wearing a cross, because I'm doing the Christian thing now. And he looked at me and he said words I'll never forget. He said, Mike, you got to wear it in your heart before you wear it around your neck. And it stopped me dead in my tracks. You ever had that happen to you in your life when somebody who knows you real well just calls you out? They can tell where you really are. He said, you got to wear it in your heart before you wear it around your neck. It would be a few weeks later, I was in Wilmore, Kentucky at a Christian music festival. I listened to one sermon after another. And it was in that weekend, sitting in the pouring rain late on a Saturday night, that my heart broke. Not with guilt, but with gratitude. That what had happened on the cross had certainly happened for all the world, but I came to realize that what had happened on the cross had happened in some small way for me. And I made a personal decision to put my faith in Jesus Christ, and it's made all the difference. I'll never forget the night that we got the call. We were told it might be coming, so we huddled with our kids. We talked through it, we prayed through it as a family, and we were ready for the call. And I'll never forget when the phone rang, 11 o'clock at night at the governor's residence. I picked up the phone and I heard that familiar voice. And he said, Mike, it's going to be great. And it has been. And I want to tell you, I joined this campaign in a heartbeat because our party has nominated a man for president who never quits, who never backs down. He is a fighter, he is a winner, and I believe come November the 8th that Donald Trump will be elected the 45th president of the United States, and we will make America great again. During my years in Congress, I befriended the late and great Chuck Colson. He would become not only my friend, but a mentor to me. Chuck Colson wrote an extraordinary book, Kingdoms in Conflict, that I commend to your attention. But he essentially wrote in his book that as believers, we are commanded to be active participants in the governance of our nation. As Colson wrote, Christians must not adopt the, quote, simply passing through mindset when it comes to politics. So how do we do that? Well, thankfully, the good book has a lot to say about how we balance the pulpit with politics. First and foremost is that we're called to pray for our nation's leaders, even those we disagree with. And we encourage you to do that each and every day, particularly in the next 4 weeks. And as people of faith, we're also called to respect the governing authorities that are placed over us. And we should do that and respect the institutions of our governance. But nowhere does it teach in the Bible that we are to sit on the sidelines of history. And this is no time for the people of faith to sit on the sidelines. It would be the English Christian theologian John Stott who wrote memorably, quote, "Christian salt has no business to remain snugly in elegant little ecclesiastic salt celters." He said, when society goes bad, one can hardly blame society. The real question is, where's the salt? When the annals of this time of American history are written, the question will be, where were you? Where were we in the great battle for life and liberty and freedom in America? What did you do? Not what did you think? What did we do? Not what did we think that placed us on the right side of history? Men and women of faith, I will tell you, this is a time for action, not essays. And we must roll our sleeves up and be prepared to fight every day for what we believe in. Shortcomings are no excuse for inaction. If we were perfect, in a word, we wouldn't need Jesus. But we're far from perfect. We do need him. But God's love eclipses our failings and has always renewed the strength of so many in this nation. This is a time, I would submit to you, for faith and courage. C.S. Lewis said that courage is not simply one of the virtues. It is the form of every virtue at the testing point. Well, I would submit to each and every one of you, and any people of faith that might be looking on across this state and nation, that we are at a testing point. I'm pro-life, and I don't apologize for it. I believe a society can be judged by how it deals with its most vulnerable, the aged, the infirm, the disabled, and the unborn. I long to see the day that Roe versus Wade is consigned to the ash heap of history where it belongs, and we again embrace a culture of life in America. To roll your sleeves up and do one more thing, if you will. And that is, as so many of you in this room are inclined to do, as Karen and I do on a regular basis, it's a good time to pray, to bow the head and bend the knee. I believe in all of my heart that the effective and fervent prayer of a righteous person availeth much. And I also believe that what's been true for millennia is still true today. That if his people, who are called by his name, will humble themselves and pray, he'll do as he's always done throughout our storied history. He'll hear from heaven, and he'll heal this land. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So let's work like it all depended on us. And the Pences will be right there with you, shoulder to shoulder, so will the Trumps. Let's pray, because it all depends on him.